Virgin Radio.
Amici di VirginRadio.it, finalmente sono in compagnia dei Green Day. Hi guys, how's it going?
Good. Excellent. Thanks for coming out.
Well, it's a nice weather even in Berlin, so we're kind of satisfied. But we're here to talk about the new record, basically. It's called 21st Century Breakdown. In your opinion, what didn't work in the 21st century?
What didn't work in the 21st century? I think there's. I don't think it's a matter of things not working. I think it's just things being dysfunctional. You know. So it was. You know. There's in America. I think there's a lot of just sort of different crises going on all the time. So it's. I think 21st Century Breakdown is just sort of about the confusion and the chaos and the desperation of the time that we live in right now. So it's. So it's kind of like singing about the confusion of the politics and the way it affects you personally, you know. And
everyone wrote about 21st Century Breakdown is a concept album. Do you like to consider this album a concept?
Well, there's definitely a common thread, and there's two characters that that Billy's singing through. So yeah.
Do you like this term? Do you want to maybe give an advice to your listeners for a good concept album that is not your own?
Turn it up loud.
Okay, or even a title of a concept album that influenced you, maybe musically. I mean, we're in Berlin right now. I'm thinking about The Wall, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got a lot of sort of inspiration from anything from Ziggy Stardust and to. Revolver, Sgt. Pepper, I mean, I even listened to Her Satanic Majesty's Request by the Rolling Stones, and I listened to the records where they did it wrong, so and to anything like I think that like in a lot of ways like London Calling was sort of a concept record. The concept was a band that was getting into more rootsy sort of Americana kind of music, but kind of throwing in sort of like European influence and opinions in politics. So or a concept record could be looked at it a different way. It could be like sort of look at like a band at like what they represent at that particular moment and where they come from. Like even like a band like Oasis or something like that could have a record that seems to sort of embody Manchester. So it's so that's I don't know if that's what we set out to do, but I don't know. We just wanted to be really ambitious with the new album,
And lyrically, which is the artist that influenced you the most for this record? Because I was thinking about George Orwell. He was the chronicler of the Spanish Civil War, and so Bob Dylan, even back in the '60s. So which artist influenced you the most for that lyrically session?
I think there's a lot of different people that I like. I mean, it's like different poets. I like Allen Ginsberg. I like, but I also like, I love Dylan because he sort of has his own way of. I mean, a lot of his songs became sort of especially like middle period. It's the mid '60s Dylan where it was like these sort of like almost like this avant-garde way of like writing lyrics. Or there's also Jesse Michaels, who I think has always been a great lyric, writes great lyrics. Or like John Lennon, like Plastic Ono Band. I think that's some of the greatest lyrics he's ever written, just because they're just so honest and so pure.
And in the first single, you ask yourself, or you ask to the people, do you know your enemy? Have you ever felt like you're your own enemy? I mean, felt part of a process that you can change?
Oh yeah. I think you need to look at yourself and question yourself too, and that's definitely part of the song. Is sometimes your own worst demons are created by yourself.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit. We named Orwell before, and the old Big Brother concept that he developed through 1984. I think that people moved from that kind of thing about the Big Brother, and they became their own Big Brothers, because they represent themselves through the others, through Facebook, MySpace, Twitter. So it's I think it's a little bit the opposite of what Orwell said. Do you agree with that? Do you think that people self-influence themselves or self-abuse of their image through those social networks?
Well, I think it can be sort of, it can probably like turn your brain off a little bit, but I mean, I don't know, a lot of people just kind of get into it because it's just the way you keep in touch with old friends and stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't try to put too much like thought into something like that. It's just, you know, especially because I'm like practically computer illiterate, you know, or web illiterate. So I mean, I don't even really know.
Do you think there's a useful use of those social network?
Yeah, like you said, keep in touch with old friends and, you know, letting your friends know where you are if you're traveling or something, but it's...
I don't want to tell people exactly where I'm at all the time. That's the only thing that I was like, no, I don't want you to know where I'm like, it's like Twitter now. It's like, I am now taking a shit. Yeah. It's like,
I used to try and write at least a postcard or a letter every day, and now everybody texts so much. My friend texted me the other day, middle of the afternoon, "What's up?" And I don't have time to write him back. So then he gets upset that I don't write him back. And when I used to write a letter, that letter, when I told somebody how I felt and what I was doing, it lasted 6 months. It was awesome.